Welcome to our live training session here with our drag race Honda S2000. We're going to learn how to calibrate and tune this vehicle using a Link G4x Fury standalone system. Let's jump into some details about our vehicle. Now, starting with the engine, it's been completely rebuilt with stronger aftermarket internals. It has ductile iron sleeves. It's been bored and stroked out to a 2.4 liter and it's 10-to-1 static compression. Moving on to the cylinder head, it has upgraded valve train. It has locked VTEC using the OEM camshafts. We have a Skunk 2 intake manifold with plenum spacers and a J37 drive-by-wire throttle body. Now, moving on to our fuel system side of things, we have a 525 Walbro pump as a lifter pump in the tank, which pushes fuel to a mechanical pump that's driven off of the crankshaft. Now, we also have ID 2600cc injectors, and we have an air motive regulator, and we're finding that our base pressure is going to be set right around 60 psi, and we're going to be running ethanol-based fuel, so we need a ton of fuel to go and produce the power that we're going to be trying to achieve with this particular combination of parts here, which is going to be at least 11 to 1200 horsepower at 50 to 60 psi boost. So we're gonna have to see where it pans out as we start to do the calibration and tuning process. And moving on to the turbo side of things, we have a completely custom turbo kit using a Precision 7385R turbo, and we're running a 60 millimeter style wastegate. We have a fender exit exhaust, custom charge pipes. We have a TurboSmart blow-off valve, and we also have a custom large front mount intercooler. Now, taking a look at the drivetrain side of things, we have a sequential transmission and we have a twin plate clutch along with upgraded drive shafts and a Ford 8.8 rear and upgraded axles and everything that's going to be needed to make this go down the drag strip consistently and be able to launch and not break any of the components. Now, we also have a lot of other things going on with this vehicle. We're going to be using boost control and controlling both the top and the bottom ports of our wastegate using separate 3-port boost control solenoids. We also have on our blow-off valve a boost control solenoid that's going to allow us to bleed off the pressure to the solenoid to be able to control the boost through the blow-off valve. We're going to also have a whole bunch of other things that we need to set up. We have a strain gauge on our shifter to be able to do clutchless shifting with our sequential transmission. So there's going to be a lot of little details that we cover that are specific to a drag race vehicle, and this is going to be extremely high boost levels, anticipating seeing at least 50 to 60 psi boost or higher on our chassis dyno. We're going to be tuning it on a mainline chassis dyno, so we're definitely going to be making some serious power with this. Without further wait, let's jump in so we can begin creating our base map to start our live training process. Welcome to our live training session here with our drag race Honda S2000. Now, we're going to be learning in this tutorial how to create a base calibration file so we can get the engine to fire up and run in our next few training modules. Now, this specific tutorial, we're going to be focusing on setting up the inputs and outputs and basic configuration details. So this is things like the engine displacement, the firing order, coil dwell, injector data, and then any other inputs and outputs that we have that are needing to be configured. So in this case, we have a lot of things coming on the CAN bus network. We're going to go through and explain how that's going to work. We have wheel speeds coming from the factory ABS CAN bus network coming from the ABS controller. So we have all 4 wheel speeds. We also have additional things like fuel pressure and oil pressure all coming into the CAN bus network through the AIM dash. So this is a Link AIM dash, and everything has been wired into the dash, and the dash is broadcasting the sensors into the Link. So we didn't tie up as many inputs, physically wiring them in to the G4X box because we're limited on inputs and outputs that we have available. We wanted to keep as many open as possible. So a lot of custom configuration setups is going on with this vehicle. We're going to go through as much detail as I possibly can and setting up the CAN bus network. A lot of this I figured out before we even started filming this tutorial. So when I'm going in and I'm configuring and I'm setting all the different settings, it may or may not apply to your particular vehicle. If you have an S2000 and you want to bring in things such as the wheel speed sensors from the CAN bus network and it's a 2006 to 2009, well, what I'm going to show you here in the tutorial is going to apply to you. If you have a different type of vehicle and you want to bring in that factory CAN bus information from an ABS controller, we're going to have a CAN sniffer and sniff the CAN network to figure out what things you want to bring in to the Link on the CAN base side of things. So lot of specific configuration details here, but we need to cover them because it's all part of how we're mapping out and setting up this vehicle, because again, everything is unique, kind of custom one-off with this drag race application, but there's definitely going to be a lot of things we're going to learn here in this training module. So let's jump in and let's start to configure and set up some of our details. So what I'm going to do right now, I have my PC Link software open. I do have my USB cable plugged into the G4X box, and I have it plugged into my laptop. The ignition key's off. I haven't powered on the vehicle, so we're in the offline status. What I'm going to do is try to edit as much of the calibration file in the offline status as possible. We'll save it and then we'll power on, and we'll upload it to the G4X, and then we'll probably do a little bit of basic testing, making sure inputs and some of the outputs work for this training module, and we'll move on to the next few training modules, setting up other tables and other things that we need to in the base configuration, base map for this vehicle. Again, I'm trying to break down these training modules into more manageable time chunks, so they're not 2 hours long, an hour and a half long. I'm trying to keep them between a half hour to an hour long, so they're a little bit easier to sit down, digest, and being able to move through all of the different training modules that we have for this vehicle. So try to go about things a little bit differently for this particular vehicle, and just go and have a little bit different approach from previous live training tutorials we have in the G4X training course. So let's jump in here right now. What I'm going to do is go to File and go to Open. Now in here, this is going to be the base map directory right from Link. So the maps that are in here are supplied from Link. This is a Fury X box, and I'm going to be going in and running with the default Fury X file. Now what's to note about this, what's important to keep in mind, is that any calibration file is interchangeable between any box. So if you have a Fury X, which is the top tier box, and you want to take that file, maybe you develop something and you want to put it into an Atom box, which is one of the lower tier boxes, that file is compatible. The Atom box doesn't have as many inputs and outputs as a Fury X. It also doesn't have the internal built-in wideband controller circuit. So things such as the wideband or other inputs and outputs that you've assigned for a Fury box, if you're transferring the file, they will not correlate to the Atom. It'll actually just delete those inputs and outputs. Nothing will be available. It'll actually recognize what specific box you're connecting to, but I wanted to make that very clear, is that the files are interchangeable between any box. Even the plug-and-play applications, you can take a plug-and-play file and upload it to, let's say, Fury or an Extreme box. So a lot of calibration files we can kind of go through here, but we want to look for the Fury X because I'm running a Fury X box. That's what I want to go and match this with. So right here, it's a Fury default map. Let's click Enter here and open up this calibration file and give it a second to open. So again, looking at this, PC log is off. It's searching for...
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.